Hello, good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, and today, as you can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to go through my top 5 picks for the upcoming season of Ranked. Now that Ranked is back in Tier 7, the ships, well, quite a few of you asked me which ships I would pick for Ranked, and I actually had to think about it for a while, because Tier 7, the ships there, they're not as wacko as Tier 10, meaning that, all the lines haven't reached their maximum potential or peak of their technology, however you want to describe it. So Tier 7 is an interesting choice. Tier 7 for a while was the go-to tier if you want to have really balanced games. When you're in a pure Tier 7 versus Tier 7 game, it's actually quite nice compared to Tier 10 versus Tier 10 and Tier 9 versus Tier 9 and so forth and so on. But matchmaking has managed to kind of screw that up recently, and in Tier 7 ships, when you get up tiered in Tier 7 ships, it's often much rougher than if you get up tiered in a Tier 8 or a Tier 9 ship, because of the differences in bow armor and just the power gap is pretty rough. But in pure Tier 7 versus Tier 7 games, I think it's a pretty good choice. But there are a couple of ships which may throw a wrench in the situation, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, this is all my opinion. I'm a battleship main, and I'm getting into cruisers. So, I'm not going to lie, most of the ships on this list are battleships. I did throw some cruisers in there that I have some experience in that I would think would be pretty good for ranked. So, coming in at number 5, we have the premium Tier 7 German battleship Scharnhorst. So, Scharnhorst would be a pretty good choice for ranked for a couple of reasons. It's very quick. It's top speed if you have the flag is almost 32 knots. That's extremely quick for a Tier 7 battleship. It gets torpedoes. It has some pretty good secondaries if you build into it. And keep in mind too, with this ranked season being at Tier 7, there aren't going to be any aircraft carriers, so you're not going to have to worry about aircraft besides just spotting aircraft. Even if you did have to worry about aircraft, Scharnhorst has kind of okay AA. It used to have pretty good AA back in the day, but nowadays it's not so much. But good secondaries, fast ship, maneuverable ship, and a very well armored ship. Scharnhorst is a pretty tough cookie when you look at all it's got going for it. It's got some great side armor. If you angle correctly, it can bounce pretty much anything that you're going to have to deal with at Tier 7. Now, the downside is its guns. It's got 283mm guns at Tier 7. Now, they aren't very large caliber guns, but they do reload pretty quickly at 20 seconds, and if you have adrenaline rush like you should on any German captain, that's going to go down as you take damage, and that will help you compensate for that. They also rotate pretty quickly too at 22 seconds, and its HE's pretty nice 20% chance of starting a fire on 9 guns that reload in 20 seconds, so if you do wind up having to duke it out with a battleship at longer ranges, you can always resort to HE and it will work quite well. But the thing is, if you get up close with the Scharnhorst against the other battleship, yes, she does only have 283mm guns, but they're German guns. They got German AP, so you have some pretty nice pins. Now, you can't go blapping them through their belt armor, but if you know where to aim, know where the weaknesses in the armor are at, for example, if you're fighting another German battleship, you know to aim for the upper armor belt because it's much thinner than at the belt. So if you fight another Scharnhorst or another Gneisenau, you aim there, and even though they're only 11-inch guns, they will pin that upper belt armor and they will do a fair amount of damage. The same goes for the other ship. If you know where to aim at, you know where their weaknesses are at, you can do quite well in it, because the dispersion recently was buff. Well, not recently anymore, but after the German dispersion was buff, Scharnhorst is much more accurate than it used to be. It's not like, extremely accurate, but it's way more accurate than it used to be. And Scharnhorst was one of the few German battleships back in the day that didn't have too much of a problem with accuracy, because she does have 9 guns and a 20-second reload time, but even more so nowadays. So she's got all that going for her. Would she be my first pick to go into ranked? No, but she is a viable option, and so is number 4, which is her sister, Gneisenau. So Gneisenau and Scharnhorst are almost exactly the same, almost. There's a couple of differences between the two of them, and we'll start with the biggest difference, which is her guns. Gneisenau, instead of having 9 283mm guns, she has 6 380mm guns, or 15-inch guns. Now, they reload in 26 seconds. So for a much bigger shell, you have 6 seconds of reload, and her turrets only turn in 31 seconds instead of 22 seconds. Now, again, German dispersion was buffed. Gneisenau, it's probably one of the most, what's the word I'm looking for, most evident of the German dispersion buff, because before, Gneisenau had terrible dispersion. You could shoot at a target from 5 kilometers away, and 3 of the 6 shells would still go in the water. Not so much anymore. Much more accurate. Again, not railgun accurate, but it's just insane how much more usable Gneisenau is now because of that buff. You're not going to be constantly hitting anything at range, but for mid to close range now, it's much more viable. And Gneisenau has better secondaries, because all of Gneisenau's secondaries can pin 32 millimeters of armor. On Scharnhorst, you had some, her 150s could pin 38 millimeters of armor, but on Gneisenau, it's all 128s. They can all pin 32 millimeters of armor, so that's very, very nice. So, secondary build on Gneisenau, you'll be able to pin whatever you're going to fight in this upcoming season of Ranked. Everything else about the ship, pretty much the same. Maneuverability, speed, torpedoes again. Now, torpedoes in this season of Ranked, and you're looking at 77, the engagement range is going to be much closer, and ships like the Scharnhorst and Gneisenau are going to have a huge advantage with torpedoes. Now, will it come to that? I don't know. With the current ships in game, it could be a long-range match, but again, we're talking about Tier 7. And the thing is, Gneisenau and Scharnhorst both have the speed to run down whatever the heck it is you're chasing. And Gneisenau's top speed is 33 knots, so a little bit faster than Scharnhorst. Now, since you can run down whatever the enemy team has for a battleship, it really doesn't matter. You're going to chase it down. You can dictate the engagement ranges, so obviously you can decide to engage much closer than you would in any other Tier 7 battleship. Now, I'm saying go chasing after the other BB. No, I'm saying if it comes down to just them, or maybe there's only 2 or 3 ships left in the enemy team, and the battleship is one of them, you can easily deal with them because you can dictate whatever range you want to engage in. So, Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, 2 pretty good choices. I would go with Gneisenau over Scharnhorst just because the guns are bigger on Gneisenau, and yeah, you only have 6 of them, but you have so much more going for you as well. Alright, moving now on to number 4. We have our first cruiser, which is the Tier 7 Premium Pan-American or American cruiser, Nueve de Julio. Now, Nueve de Julio, some of you are probably going, what? Now, again, I'm not a cruiser main, but looking at all my cruisers that I've played and all the ones that have at Tier 7, you know, I was really debating on putting the Flint on this list, because the Flint and or the Atlanta, but I would say the Flint, would be a pretty good choice because they get radar. And Flint, you get smoke and radar. Now, the thing is, their guns got neutered after the IFHE rework, and Wargaming's kind of tried to fix that by decreasing the reload time on the Atlanta and on the Flint. But you gotta know, in ranked battles, most of the players that are playing cruisers are going to bring some type of radar cruiser. And I feel like Nueve de Julio is a good complement, or Boise, are both good complements to having radar cruisers on your team, because her guns are pretty nice. It's a Helena with a little bit slower reload, so you could take Helena, but there's a big difference between Helena and Nueve de Julio and Boise that I would pick them over Helena, even though Helena does get radar. Now, they have pretty much the same guns as Helena, except they reload in 10 seconds, so it's a bit of a longer reload, but they still hit pretty dang hard. She's got a lot of them, too. You get 15 152mm guns with great HE alpha, which means destroyers, which there's going to be a lot of destroyers running around this season of Rank, because the Pan-European destroyers just dropped, and they are quite good. The ship is fantastic against destroyers once they get spotted. If you manage to get all 15 shells on them, it's going to hurt a whole lot. You may even be able to dev strike a couple of them if they've lost some of their health already. She does a hydroacoustic search too, so that's going to help with torpedoes, or if you have to push a destroyer, you can have them hydroed. And the main thing about the ship, besides the guns, because they are the American 152, so you do get American AP, you do get American shell arcs, so you can do the American thing, hide behind the island and just throw HE. The Nueve de Julio and Boise get a super hill. They get an British cruiser hill, which for a Tier 7 cruiser with 15 very good very good guns, a super hill, that's going to help out a lot. And if you're a cruiser player, if you're good at throttle juking, I did try throttle juking with the Nueve de Julio, and it surprisingly worked pretty well. I didn't think it was, because American cruisers aren't all that fast, but it did work surprisingly well. If you're good at throttle juking, you're good at hugging your island waifu, this ship probably will do very well in ranked. And even though, again, with the IFHE changes, you don't get enough pin to get through the 26 millimeters of armor that most Tier 7 battleships have, you do have 15 guns, and you can get upwards of a 12% chance of starting a fire on each gun if you go for a full fire build, so that is very, 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 very nice. Alright, moving on to number 2. We have the Tier 7 Premium British Light Cruiser, the Belfast. You all knew this was coming. So the Belfast, you get 12 127mm guns. Again, after the IFHE rework, it's either you trade off the pinning ability of being able to pin the armor of most Tier 7 battleships, or you give up half of your chance of starting a fire. And just like the Nueve de Julio, you can get over a 12% chance of starting a fire if you go with full Demolition Expert and Fire Flag build on the ship. And keep in mind, now with the changes to the signal flags, you can easily mount just a ridiculous amount of flags on this ship, including just about every combat flag you need to make the ship really perform well in ranked. So you can get a great chance of starting a fire on the ship. And this ship gets smoke, hydro, and radar in one package. You don't have to trade anything out. You can get all three of those consumables on this ship. Now, the Belfast, she's kind of lost some of the OP-ness of her because of just the way the game's changed, and now we have many ships at Tier 7 that are great fire starters and great HE spammers. And with the IFHE rework, again, that took away her ability to, pin the level of armor that she needed to pin and continue to have a great chance of starting a fire, and that's different now. But still, just with her hydro, her radar, her smoke screen, she's going to be everywhere in this upcoming season of ranked. I can guarantee you that. Great against destroyers with her 12 guns and her 7-second reload. And again, you got every tool you need to fight destroyers except for torpedoes. About the only thing she doesn't have is torpedoes and a hill. So it's very, very good against destroyers, even against battleships. Now, again, you won't be able to, if you don't take IFHE, you won't be able to pin the armor of a lot of Tier 7 battleships. But again, you can get a great chance of starting a fire on this ship, and they are very, very quick to reload. And if you have Adrenaline Rush, which I would recommend for every ship on this list, you will get that very quick reload down even quicker. And we all know how the Belfast is. It's been around for quite some time. This is the one ship that isn't available anymore. You can't get this ship. It was removed some time ago, but you're going to see these everywhere when ranked starts up. All right, before we get to number 1, we have one honorable mention, and that is the Tier 7 Premium British Battleship, the Nelson. Now, the Nelson, this ship will probably make an appearance in ranked, because she does have 9 16-inch guns. But that's really all she has going for her, is guns. Oh, I'm sorry, there's 2 things going for her. Her guns and her heel. Now, the rest of the ship, it's not that fantastic for ranked. It's slow. Its armor isn't that great. It's super easy to Citadel this thing. And yes, you do have the heel, which will offset some of that, but it doesn't take a lot to bring down a Nelson. If the enemy team decides they want you dead, well, you're going to be dead relatively quickly. Your super heal will mitigate that somewhat, but I mean, the ship goes like 22 knots. Its Citadel can be seen from the moon. Its guns are quite good. She does have British AP, but she does have 16-inch guns, so she can overpin the bows of everything that she sees, which means the enemy team is going to want you dead pretty fast anyway. And again, slow, unmaneuverable. And she can get punched in the face pretty hard because of her armor, with other ships with 16-inch guns that have more going for them than she does. If you want a ship with 16-inch guns, I wouldn't recommend taking this ship. I would recommend one of the other Tier 7s with 16-inch guns over her. And sure, her HE is really good. So if you do manage to angle, because you can angle the bow correctly to where you will bounce just about everything thrown at you, but you're still going to eat pins here and there. And she will win any type of HE off with any other battleship she gets put up against. She will win that. But overall, you know, is it a good choice for ranked? Well, it's not a bad choice. But there's just other ships I would choose over her. That's why she didn't get a numbered place on this list. But she does get honorable mention because, again, she could probably work. But in my opinion, there's just better choices. Like our number 1, which is the Tier 7 Soviet battleship, the Sinop, or Sinop. Sinop. People have been saying it wrong after an actual Russian told me to say it. Sinop, so, but whatever. Tier 7 Soviet battleship. Great ship for ranked. Its armor is really, really good. She does have a citadel that's not the hardest to get at, but still, she's Soviet, so if you stay angled, you're going to be bouncing shells all day. She gets 9 16-inch guns. They do reload in 33 seconds, which is a bit long for a battleship. But, again, if you take a drilling rush, that's going to take care of itself right there. She does have the Soviet damage con, which is a limited number of charges, but they cool down really, really, really quick. And she gets heal. And she actually has pretty decent secondaries, which I guess for this ranked season you could build into. I wouldn't really recommend it. I would probably go with more of a survivability build because people know what the Sinop's like and you're going to be a big target for the enemy team. So I would go with more of a survivability build. I may do a secondary build just to see how it works, but I would recommend a survivability build. Great ship. She's got Soviet ballistics on her shells. She's got the Soviet gimmick where the closer you are to the enemy ship, the more accurate your shells are. And, you know, this is probably going... Oh, no, the ship is going to... I'm not going to say it's probably going to be everywhere. It is going to be everywhere because it is very, very, very good. So, that, plus if you have the Special Russian Commander, Kutuzov, or whatever his name is, or Kuznetsov, whatever his name is, you get that Last Stand... I'm sorry, it's not Last Stand. That Will to Victory talent where once your health gets under 10%, it's going to pop a free heal and a free damage con, and you get you get to continue to live because Soviets, you know, Russian bias. But excellent pick if you're going to be playing Battleship. I would definitely go with Sinop. If you don't have Sinop, then I would say, well, probably Gneisenau. But Sinop does beat Gneisenau out a little bit just because she does have 9 16-inch guns that are pretty dang accurate from about 15 kilometers in. They did kind of nerf her Sigma a little bit, but I still find she's still plenty accurate at... I mean, not entirely accurate at longer ranges, but mid to close in, she's still fine, which is where most of these engagements are going to be taking place at in this season of Ranked. Alright guys, that's my list. Let me know what you would choose in the comments down below. Let me know your own list. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Let me know what ships you would trade out. I know there's probably 3 or 4 ships that some of y'all would want to exchange. But anyway, this is my list. This is my opinion. These are probably some of the ships I'm going to be trying this season of Ranked. So again guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers. We are just under 700 subscribers away from that goal. And I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday, and I hope to catch you guys in the next one.